Good evening. Regarding the proposed Chinese solar farm to be installed at Torstleton, the scoping out of various elements of the environmental impact assessment is only made possible because of the National Planning Policy Framework, and this is driven by net zero ideology. Does the Chair believe that this ideology is more important than the catastrophic environmental damage that will be sustained by Wirral's Green Belt as a result of the project? And is she comfortable with the fact that the panels to be installed may well have been manufactured using forced labour?
Thank you for your question. Firstly, I don't think that the National Planning Policy Framework is driven by any kind of ideology other than to have a good planning policy framework. And I don't think that solar panels per se are particularly catastrophic for the environment. I do, however, share your concerns about this particular location, and so I've got a response that the officers have helped me with here. Planning permission is required for the installation of a solar farm of this scale, and the applicant has submitted requests under the Environmental Impact Assessments regulations to the local planning authority, seeking its opinion on the scope of matters that should be included in any environmental statement to be submitted with their planning application. The proposed site is situated within the Greenbelt, and very special circumstances would need to be demonstrated to justify any inappropriate development in the Greenbelt. The land is also designated in our local plan as an area of special landscape value, and there are also other sensitive locations nearby, such as the Dee Estuary, which is designated as a site of special scientific interest, a special protection area, a special area of conservation as well. Thurston Conservation Area is nearby, and so too is Caldy Conservation Area. Whilst the NPPF encourages us to explore opportunities for renewable energy to come forward, it also includes robust policies that seek to protect Greenbelt from any inappropriate development, and also includes policies that seek to protect areas such as SSSIs from harmful development. Wirral's local plan also places great emphasis on the protection of areas of special landscape value, such as this, and requires development to ensure that the landscape and/or visual impact on the local and wider landscape would not lead to unacceptable harm in terms of character, appearance, and landscape setting of the surrounding area. It will therefore be the role of the local planning authority to weigh the harm caused to the Greenbelt, the area of special landscape value, and nearby sensitive sites against any potential benefits arising from the proposed solar farm. If the harm outweighs the benefits, which many of us believe it would, then planning permission should be refused. So thank you for your question.
Yeah, can I ask, the point of this document was that it was scoping out various aspects of the project. So, for example, construction traffic and the impact that that will have is scoped out. The glare from the solar panels and so on is scoped out. Is that reasonable?
In terms of answering that particular question, I'll have to get back to you with a written response. You'll get this as a full written response as well, and we can include an answer to that question as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your questions. I'd like to ask Mr. David Burgess-Joyce on behalf of Reform UK to ask his question. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Chair, and thank you very much for allowing me to ask this question. The issue of the CCS project in Liverpool Bay has been raised numerous times by members of the public and Reform UK as far back as September 2025. There's been no response from Liverpool City Region on this matter. Why? We now have a proposal for another scheme, Peak Cluster, which will involve digging up large swathes of Wirral's Greenbelt to lay a pipeline carrying toxic waste to the beach at Moreton. Will this committee involve itself fully in the Peak Cluster consultation and oppose this environmental vandalism? Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you for your question. I have spoken to combined authority officers about this, and there is an important vacancy of this area of work in the combined authority, which will be the vacancy will be filled in March. As a Wirral resident, I share concerns about any carbon capture and storage pipelines through Wirral and will ensure that we share all appropriate information as soon as we get it. I do appreciate that residents asking questions and councillors asking for briefings should not have to wait this long. Once the new combined authority officer responsible is in post, I hope that we can have more timely responses regarding the project in Liverpool Bay. Regarding the peak cluster proposal, information was only shared to elected members of this council on the 21st of January 2026. The project proposes to capture CO2 emissions from cement and lime productions at plants in Derbyshire and Staffordshire, which would then be transported via an underground pipeline to a permanent storage site deep beneath the East Irish Sea. Whilst the pipeline is to be underground, an above-ground installation known as a coastal above-ground installation will be required. The exact location of this has not been specified, but two options, I'm told, to the south of Mells and the north of Morton are being explored. The pipeline is classified as a nationally significant infrastructure project and so requires a development consent order to be submitted to the Planning Inspectorate before final decision is made by the Secretary of State. This is not a council proposal, and we would not be the decision makers of this. Whilst the proposal is in the pre-application stage, the public may wish to make their views on this proposal known via Peak Cluster's own website, and I would advise that they do so. Making your views known on Facebook is not as effective as making your views known on this particular consultation website, Peak Cluster's own website, so I would do that instead. Links to this have been shared with all councillors and will be shared on the council's website in the committee notes for this particular committee meeting. The council will be able to comment and make representations at each stage of the process, and officers within the planning department have at the moment got delegated authority to formulate and submit the council's consultation response. It has been agreed that views will be sought from the chair and spokes of the planning committee, but we will ask that this committee's views are heard as well. It is important that elected members represent their residents in this matter. Thank you very much for your question.
Could I just qualify that by, I appreciate what you said, Madam Chair, but I was a little bit disappointed that when we arrived at the consultation on Saturday in Hoylake, there were no attendees from Whittle Council other than two Reform councillors. I wonder in future, without burdening this particular committee, that there could be either officers or councillors in attendance for such important public consultation. Thank you.
I have to correct you on that actually, because I myself personally attended, as did Councillor Mark Skillicorn, who's sitting at the back, as did Councillor Gardner, as did Councillor Gail Jenkinson, and they're just the councillors I saw there. There may have been other councillors. Jenny Johnson was also there. So that's every party I think was represented. So I certainly would think you were not alone in being there, and I was absolutely confident that all councillors feel very strongly about this. I would be very surprised if I'm the only councillor who's concerned.
You do know it started at 1 o'clock and not 3 o'clock, just to let everyone who I know was there late. I've no idea why you said that, because the consultation, some of us actually went to attend and to speak to the people there and to find out information. It was a disappointing lack of information, to be honest, but it wouldn't have taken the entire afternoon to get that information. Very strange.
Evening, Chair, members, everyone. Again, Peak Cluster CO2 pipeline. CO2 pipeline ruptures in the United States, one causing 45 hospital visits, were spotted not by operators or emergency services, but by residents. The UK's Health and Safety Executive has yet to publish CO2 pipeline construction and operation regulations, yet the nearby Liverpool Bay CCS pipeline is already under construction. Liverpool Friends of the Earth requests an urgent meeting, either between Wirral Council, Merseyside Emergency Services and Peak Cluster, or of Merseyside Resilience Forum. Can a joint statement timetabling community dialogue to ensure safety in the eventuality of a CO2 pipeline leak be published by March the 31st, 2026? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much for this. Just to go back to the previous answer to the previous question as well, as with that, I would urge all residents and all stakeholder groups, any concerned groups or individuals, to engage with Peak Cluster directly on their consultation on their website. I think that's really important. The matters you raise are obviously concerning a lot of people, and they're very worrying, and I will ensure that you get a full written response to your questions, and that that we publish that on the council website as well. So you'll get a full written response and it will be published. I'm not going to read out the response that I've been given because it doesn't apply to your questions. It applies to the previous questions, I think. So your questions are different and are, we all do need to have reassurance. And I have asked that the combined authority give us that reassurance. As soon as that officer is in post, I'm sure that things will start moving a lot more quickly and we will get all those answers in place. So thank you.
Yeah, and colleagues. So I'm here today because the Wirral, our home, is potentially going to be treated as something it has never and must never become: England's carbon dioxide exhaust pipe. A major scheme, the Peak Cluster Carbon Capture Project, is proposing to drive a high-pressure CO2 pipeline through our communities, our farms and our nature reserves on the way to the Irish Sea. We are told this is needed and that it is for the national good, and that it is only a temporary disruption, but we live here, we know better. I and many more stand firmly opposed to the Wirral being used as a dumping corridor for other people's emissions,